Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs, and welcome to this, issue 2 of the Weekly Hero. I'm, of course, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I am joined with the peerless Kris Carr.
Peerless?
Peerless.
I have no peers?
You have no peers. You're above them all.
Whoa. That's going to go straight to my head.
You're above me, certainly.
Aw, I feel like we're equals.
No. You're much better than I am.
Oh, well, I still have
Just
you.
do a voice.
What kind of voice do you want?
Do a high-pitched, serious voice.
A high-pitched serious voice. Something kind of like a Yzma kind
See,
of thing. Something up in here.
I can't do that. I can't do it.
you can
You're
mess
better
around
than me.
with it.
See, you're peerless.
Oh, thanks, bud.
But this is the second issue of the new iteration of the Weekly Hero, and it is very, very exciting to be here with you. We are going to talk about the issues of last week, and as we've had time to ruminate over these issues, we're gonna get into what we thought now that we've had a bit of time to digest things.
Absolutely.
And of course, the first thing we want to talk about is the writer that was announced for the Kang Dynasty. Jeff Loveness, he was also the writer of the upcoming Quantumania, and he is a veteran of Rick and Morty.
Yes.
Now, I think he's a great choice to write this. I mean, not having seen Quantumania yet, but obviously that's where Kang becomes a big player in the MCU. Mm-hmm. You know, Rick and Morty, despite that it's comedic, it does have a lot of really interesting science fiction concepts that are done quite well on the show.
Oh, for sure. It also gets really dark, and there can be some heartstrings moments, too, on Rick and Morty that are just interrupted by a belch.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself makes the choice of writer pretty exciting. Would you concur?
I concur, my esteemed colleague. I think this is a really smart choice because if you're going to deal with somebody who has multiple personas, I mean, how many Ricks are there? We have the Council of Ricks, which is essentially your Council of Kangs.
Yeah, where do you think they got it from?
Yeah, let's call a spade here. You got to pull from literature sometimes. So I really think this is an excellent fit because I'm a proponent of Rick and Morty being one of the smartest bits of writing out there. Sure, sometimes the humor gets more blue, crass, but the science jokes on that show, the pop culture jokes on that show, I mean, they are just untouchable. And so I'm really excited to see how Loveness is going to bring that kind of humor and that kind of satirical edge and just that kind of rapier wit to this franchise.
No, I agree. I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong. People sometimes say that humor in the MCU is like, oh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
But I think that the world is both very dramatic and also very funny. I mean, soldiers obviously are known for their dark, sardonic humor on the battlefield. There's no reason why you can't do that, and smart humor is the best humor.
Exactly.
And I think that Rick and Morty, like you said, even though they can have belch jokes in the middle of a heady sci-fi concept, I do think that that's kind of, I mean, when you're dealing, first of all, with Ant-Man and the Wasp and Kang, even though you could take that very seriously, but why would you? It's Ant-Man and the Wasp, that has cultivated smart humor in the MCU, and then having multiple Kangs or whatever Kang is going to do, and the way Jonathan Myers is playing him, I mean, it's not like he's without humor.
No. All kinds of table jumping. I'm here for it.
I am too. So I think this is actually a great choice. I mean, obviously, Marvel, they've made these choices because they've liked the work that has been done previously. He's new to the MCU with Quantumania. Clearly, they liked what he did, so...
Absolutely. It's a vote of confidence for that film. And the only thing that I have about this, the only potential hang-up is just, you know, we've seen how veering a little too humorous cannot serve the Marvel franchises, right?
I think, look, we've talked about it before on the John Campea Show. Thor, Love, and Thunder for me was too much.
And I'm in the same boat as you.
It's just too silly. And when it gets too silly, it destroys credibility.
Exactly.
And I mean, I hate to say that about Thor because I thought Ragnarok did such a great job of balancing the serious and the humorous. And I don't think, I mean, again, Kang is supposed to be a big bad.
Yeah, a formidable foe.
A formidable foe. And you can't just say, a formidable foe, and you can't just make him a goof.
Exactly.
And so I think that Loveness probably, judging from both Rick and Morty and I guess the vote of confidence he's been given, having not seen it from Quantumania, he's probably a great choice.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it all turns out.
Well, speaking of more Marvel news, it has been announced that Ryan Coogler is the front runner. I don't know if we have confirmation that he's actually going to direct Secret Wars, but he is the front runner to direct Secret Wars. Now, of course, Coogler is a veteran of 2 Marvel films, obviously Black Panther and the upcoming Black Panther sequel, Wakanda Forever. I think Coogler is a world-class filmmaker. I mean, Fruitvale Station, his first breakout indie hit, I thought was terrific.
Incredible film. Creed.
Creed,
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
there's a way to revive a franchise. You know, and that was something that he came up with. I mean, he wrote that. He's an auteur. He's a writer, director. Same with Black Panther. It's going to be really interesting to see where Wakanda Forever goes or what it provides. But it's, again, a huge film dealing with multiple nationalities, maybe at war. We don't know.
Yeah, it looks like there's a UN crisis from the trailers.
And so it's a big movie with a lot of characters, and that's what you have with a Secret Wars film. You've got a massive ensemble cast. I mean, I don't think there could be a bigger ensemble cast in a Marvel movie, bigger than Endgame. I mean, I would imagine. So you feel confident that he's able to take on the mantle of directing Secret Wars?
I do. I mean, the proof will be in the pudding of Wakanda Forever, right? Because that looks incredible, but that's a trailer doing its job, right? If a trailer makes me go, ooh, I don't want to see this, the trailer's not working. But we've seen time and time again, too, trailers that looked fantastic and then things were just kind of dead on arrival. Do I think that's going to happen here? No. I trust Coogler so much. This cast is incredible. I am wondering how the film itself is going to pan out with the lack of T'Challa in there and how that's being handled. We're going to see that all. My big concern, too, is, you know, he's an auteur. And how is a film going to be without him and Michael B. Jordan? Because he's been able to get so much wonderful stuff out of
How
Jordan.
do you know it's without Michael B. Jordan?
That's fair. I mean, but
Who
he
knows?
died. I mean, I know no one's ever perma-dead in the Marvel Universe, typically.
No.
But, I mean, that seemed like a very permanent death. Of course, there's all kinds of things that could happen. You know, the supernatural's involved in the Marvel Universe. Medical marvels are involved in the Marvel Universe. But I'm wondering if we'll feel that absence, though. Since we're already down a king, I'm wondering if we're going to miss Killmonger as well.
Well, you know, I would imagine, and I could see this happening, that maybe there's some kind of a flashback sequence that Killmonger was involved in something that later comes to pass in this film. So we could see like 10 years ago.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I could see something like that happening because the same way that Leonardo DiCaprio has been in a lot of Martin Scorsese movies, or Robert De Niro has too, it seems to me that Michael B. Jordan is Ryan Coogler's muse.
Yeah, I think
You know, and I think they work together. And plus, I mean, he is such a fantastic performer.
gosh, he's
What
so
an
talented.
electrifying presence.
Just so good.
And so good. But I find of all the Marvel, certainly of Phase 4, of all the Marvel movies that are coming out now, Wakanda Forever is the one that interests me, I think, the most. Because, one, the fact that you've lost your star, your titular hero, is gone. And the fact that there's a lot, the Marvel universe itself sort of sits on a precipice. I mean, you've got another emergent civilization on Earth after the Celestials made their presence known, after gods of Egypt are fighting. And there's so much that this movie, I think, has to address and deal with. I'm very curious to see where all of this is going to go. I mean, the trailers do look incredible. It looks like it's a very heady mix of all different kinds of things. But is it biting off too much?
Exactly. Well, and speaking of that, too, if you go back to Secret Wars, there's a lot going on there. And initially, too, it was basically just a merchandising grab.
Right.
It was, I mean, Mattel had input on Secret Wars. So I like the idea of somebody like Coogler who does take heady concepts and bring them in to superhero franchises. I enjoy that, but it's a lot to juggle.
It is a lot to juggle. I mean, I think it's interesting. It's great that they're giving... I like the fact that Joss Whedon did 2 Avengers movies, the Russo brothers did 2 Avengers movies, and that Ryan Coogler is coming in, and you've got 2 different directors. The director of Shang-Chi, obviously, Dustin Creighton, who pronounces his last name.
So, yeah.
He's doing Kang Dynasty. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be, I mean, I loved Secret Wars, both versions, you know, the original and the Hickman version.
Yeah.
I liked all that. So, I mean, look, the kid me, Secret Wars?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
You're going to get some killer hot toys out of it either way.
Oh, man. Probably too many. It's gonna send me to the Poe house.
I have as of right now, vote of confidence for Coogler.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear. All right. Well, then, our third topic, Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn coming back to the DCEU, according to James Gunn.
Coming back.
Like she's never left.
She's never left, yeah.
How do you feel? So you're not Harley Quinned out?
No, never. I mean, I'm a diehard Harley Quinn fan back from the Arlene Sorkin days. I love this character. This is a character that made me want to do voiceover. Just that lovely Mr. J Puddin'. All of that was so wonderful for me as a kid. I probably shouldn't have been watching it, honestly, though. When you look at Mad Love, gosh, what a messed up story.
That is a great comic, though.
Oh, so good. It's so good. Gosh, Paul Dini, you're wonderful. I love Margot in this role in particular. I really am a big fan of Harley Quinn. I know no one else in this room likes it, but I love Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey was so fun. That soundtrack slaps. It is so great. The fight choreography, the imagery, the costuming. I love it. Also, my girl Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in there. And
no, I'm a big Mary Elizabeth Winstead fan.
Her.
I have to say, not a fan of Birds of Prey, but I loved Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad.
She's
in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I loved seeing what he did with her. I loved the performance she delivered. I mean, I think she's a great character. And clearly, I do love the fact that you have an actress who loves this role.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and after playing Barbie, the most wholesome creature in the universe, toy,
That's
whatever.
Range.
I would like to, that is range. I'd like to see, I mean, I can't wait to see Margot Robbie come back and knock it out of the park again as Harley Quinn. I mean, I think John said it best once on the John Campea Show that she really works best as part of an ensemble. I think so.
I think that's fair because I did enjoy her moments with everyone here in Birds of Prey. I really liked all of that. And again, I know I'm in the minority, whatever. I like what I like. But when you do a standalone Harley Quinn story, it is difficult. And we've seen how she can thrive, though, in like the animated universe. But she's at her best when she's working with Ivy or being, pinged against the other, members of the whole villain ensemble in the world of Batman. That's when she does really, really well. I love her as the standout lead of that ensemble.
Right.
But
sure.
I do think she needs a pack with her. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I did like the fact that she was clearly a marquee character in Gunn's Suicide Squad, but and he knew what to do with her, and she kind of got her own side mission, when she was inside that place and had her own.
Oh my gosh, and her fights were killer.
They were killer, and I love that shot when the flower petals come out from behind her. I mean, that's just a great, and she's such a striking character. I mean, she just lights up the screen. So
absolutely. You can tell she's having a blast, and that's what we want. And how do you not have a blast when you're doing a James Gunn DC project?
I don't know.
Or any project. Gosh, like Slither had to be fun.
It had to be fun. And you also get to dance.
Hell yeah.
When you're in a James Gunn project, you dance.
You get to boogie.
You do get to boogie. You get your boogie on. Mm-hmm. You boogie down.
I'm excited for Margot to do that.
I can't wait to see it. So we're in agreement.
Yeah.
So I think then it leads us to the next thing, which is our sponsor for this show, today's episode of The Weekly Hero, brought to you by our folks at Mint Mobile.
Hey guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. And now for the plot twist. I'm just kidding, there isn't one. Seriously, Mint Mobile just has premium wireless service from $15 a month. There's no trapping you into a 2-year contract or opening the bill to find these crazy fees. There's no luring you in with free subscriptions to streaming services that you'll forget to cancel and be charged full price for. I used to dread opening my phone bill every month because every time I was opening it, it was like playing roulette. I never knew what the actual price was going to be, and it always seemed to get higher. But not with Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And if you're worried about the complication of switching things over, don't. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So guys, get premium wireless from just $15 a month and no unexpected plot twists at mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Seriously, you'll make your wallet very happy at mintmobile.com/Campea.
Well, clearly our friends at Mint Mobile are fans of comic books because they sponsored this week's episode of The Weekly Hero. And that brings us to, well, the mysterious part of this show. Kris and Rob have issues. Yeah. We have issues, like a lot of issues.
We've got so many issues today.
So many issues. I mean, and sometimes they divide us. Sometimes they bring us together. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're topical. Sometimes I think she's crazy.
That's fair.
Like Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I have a lot of that energy. I bring a lot of that to the table.
I like knowing I'm not wrong. But I think this week we have a great topic to discuss.
Yes.
Obviously, it was announced strangely, oddly. I mean, there is a new Constantine film in development that is a direct sequel to 2005's Francis Lawrence directed Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves, who was very, at the time, controversial because he wasn't, as you said, anything like the comic character.
He wasn't anything like Sting. He didn't look like Sting at all. He wasn't English, wasn't blonde. Frankly, I think he could have drank and smoked even more. I mean, that's what I like from my John Constantine.
Well, it takes us back to, I have always loved this character of John Constantine, and to me, he was one of the cornerstone characters when DC created their Vertigo imprint.
Yes.
That was started mostly as a horror label that, of course, branched out, but coming off the pages of Swamp Thing that was not yet a Vertigo comic.
Yes.
But during Alan Moore's run of Swamp Thing, Alan Moore created this character as a British, basically a London-based warlock.
Yeah. Like, literally, he was told to incorporate Sting. This is really part of it. So in Swamp Thing number 37 is when we first get John Constantine in the mix, where he's this kind of blue-collar warlock.
Right.
And he is our first, detective who does paranormal studies, which is really, really fun because obviously this has spanned so many other things. X-Files, the Dresden Files, all the files came from this. This debuted in 1988. It was Jamie Delano and John Ridgway doing the art on this, which is so fun. And Jamie Delano had worked with Alan Moore, was chosen to do the first run here, Hellblazer. This first compilation is Original Sins. And Alan Moore helped pick out Jamie for this job, basically. Jamie has a lot of political commentary from the 80s in here, which is really fun. We meet the Freemasons. There's environmental issues. There's all kinds of wacky shenanigans.
Ley lines, the fear machine.
Yes.
I mean, I was a huge fan of this comic. I loved it so much, and it really leaned in. I mean, this is a dark, horrific comic.
It was the first time I realized that the lead of your story doesn't have to be morally good.
Oh, no. And he was not beyond sacrificing people to achieve his goals.
Exactly, which sometimes were for the greater good, but often were to save his own skin.
Absolutely. And this hard-bitten character was, and let's be clear, in the comics, he's John Constantine. There's even the panel, I don't remember, he says Tyne in it, and correcting somebody. But in the movie, it's Constantine, which they carried over to the Legends of Tomorrow and
the
to
TV show and everything.
The TV show, but in Sandman, it was corrected. The Sandman audio drama took back John Constantine, and then Joanna Constantine has been used for the Sandman TV series.
And this is one of the things that, Neil Gaiman, among so many other English writers, really cut their teeth on. This is how we got Garth Ennis. This is how we got Grant Morrison. Excuse me. So many people came from working on the Constantine series.
And this is the cover of issue 1. And you can kind of, this cover really does sum up the feel of what this comic, this comic did not shy away from the violence, the sex. And also there was a lot of stuff going on in British horror at the time. Clive Barker was an emergent talent with the Books of Blood, and later, yesterday, Hellraiser celebrated its actual 35th anniversary. I went to a special screening of that, and Hellbound Hellraiser 2. So British horror was really on the upswing, and it was all, an answer to the punk rock Thatcher-esque era of England. So it was, Guinness soaked, cigarette smoked. It was just, I love this character. Now, he's been around for now a long time. There are various iterations. There was a new 52 version of Constantine, and it has been, but these first issues, getting into this comic, it is really, if you like your horror dark and hard, this is a hard-bitten horror character.
Well, and you guys mostly know too, I am not a horror movie person. This is how I can get down with the spooky. Because I love horror comics.
Wait. You love horror comics, but not...
Because it's the actual seeing the action of a lot of things that messes me up. The brutalization of people in, real time really freaks me out. I can put this down. I can take a lap. And also, a lot of times, this is so supernatural and so otherworldly that I can honestly just disassociate from it. Because, it's a demon in America being exorcised. It's demon blood infusions. It's that kind of stuff where it's, well, that wouldn't happen, I don't think. I don't believe in no ghosts, so I feel okay about this.
That's interesting. I'll buy that because this, it's not necessarily, it isn't Lovecraftian, but it does lean into the elder gods' ideas. They're out there. And it doesn't shy away from the devil.
No.
The devil shows up tricking the devil, which Constantine does. You know, I think it's I want to say it's the Garth Ennis runs. Isn't the Dangerous Habits run what they base the movie on, the 2005?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, which I think is really interesting. And I like the fact that even though Keanu Reeves was not like the British Constantine, he was the American Constantine version. I do think the movie did retain, I mean, surely the way that hell was perceived.
Oh, yeah.
The devil. It was very much like the comic would. And I love like this production design when he's going through hell.
It's visceral, it's stylized, it's fun.
I thought so too. And while there was a lot of pushback from comic fans, this film has grown in stature over the years. The original film. I mean, I don't know why they didn't. I mean, some marketing department probably said, you can't call this movie Hellblazer. That's not going to play in the Bible Belt. You got to call it something like, well, Constantine. So people will wonder, what does that mean? Who is that? You know, and it sounds vaguely European churchy.
Exactly.
You know, so
right?
and you can put a cross in the T. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
this will be fine.
But that to me is a very John Constantine thing to do.
Yes, that's
flipping off the
perfect.
devil.
One of the stories you were talking about too earlier off camera, Rob, is so interesting when they have the Newcastle event.
Well, that was his big
That's the big overarching one.
He couldn't get over it.
Yep.
This horrible thing that happened in Newcastle, and they kept talking about it. I think the first year of the comic, they didn't get to that story. They just teased it.
They kept saying something happened with a girl named Astral.
Yeah,
and this is the story for those of you who did watch the I believe NBC series with Matt Ryan. That was the story that they focused on a lot. They'd constantly talk about what went down at Newcastle, and then you finally saw it. Completely heartbreaking.
It was very heartbreaking.
For me, it's the Swamp Thing crossovers, man. When like Swamp Thing takes over John Constantine's body so he and Abby can have a baby, and Etrigan's there, and Phantom Stranger, they're like, what?
You love Etrigan.
I love Etrigan so much.
Can you speak in rhyme like he does?
Oh no, I'm not quick enough for that. Man, I love Etrigan though.
He's great. That is
Blood.
the demon. I believe he was created by Jack Kirby.
Yes.
I want to say he was, right?
He's incredible. I love his whole storyline.
And the Phantom Stranger.
Like this, ultimately, all of the Constantine stuff for me, you guys, is I want it to lead to this. I want it to be Justice League Dark.
Well, you know, Guillermo del Toro was dealing with that. And what's really interesting is that, you know, J.J. Abrams is developing a new Constantine TV series along with a separate Madam X or Madam Xanadu series for which they probably, I'm sure, would have crossed over or something.
Oh, absolutely.
Now that has been canceled because they brought this movie into being. And I think in a way, I mean, I like the fact that Keanu Reeves his star is obviously flying high because of the John Wick films. And this movie has gone up in stature over the years. I've never talked to somebody that said, oh, that Constantine movie sucked. No, everybody liked it. You got Papa Midnight in there. Yeah. I mean, you played by Jaimin Hansu, and then Peter Stormare as the devil, and Tilda Swinton as the angel Gabriel. I mean, this is a great cast.
Rachel Weisz.
Oh, yeah, and Rachel Weisz,
like
James Bond's wife.
At peak Rachel Weisz.
Peak Rachel Weisz. I mean,
like
yes.
Post Mummy.
And Shia LaBeouf. Early Shia LaBeouf was.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
I forgot that Little Shia is in it.
Little Shia is in it.
Aww.
You know, what is that, 17 years ago?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Little coming off of Holes.
Yeah. Oh, Holes is a great movie.
So there you go. You know, I mean, I really hope that this happens. I mean, Akiva Goldsman's always hit and miss in terms of scripts for me.
Sure.
But I love the idea of this happening because the comics are so good. And if you know, there's a couple. I don't know if it's got, I think it is the Jamie Delano issues. I have a huge, thick DC hardcover Hellblazer omnibus.
Hell yeah.
And it's got to have 50 issues in it. And it's great. I mean, you could kill somebody with it if you hit him in the head. It
seems very John Constantine.
Very John Constantine. I mean, look at these stories. There's a great.
Oh, yeah.
Again, the Jamie Delano, John Ridgway right there. I mean, I even love the art. There's something about it. It's kind of got an EC Comics feel, but also it's British at the same time.
Yeah. It has a sensibility of early Marvel stuff, honestly.
Yes.
But with so much more of the macabre woven into it, just because you have these bright colors, but they typically lean towards secondaries. And, it's just stunning. It's just stunning and creepy. And I look, all the ghostly people are not saturated. It's so smart.
Yeah, no, it's a smart comic. And if you like your comics hard-hitting and horrific, and especially if you secretly chain smoke.
Yeah.
Because he's always got a
He's
cigarette
constantly
in his mouth.
smoking.
Constantly smoking. I
And
wonder
if you like cheeky one-liners.
Right. And that's, of course, the Constantine movie is about the results of his being a chain smoker. He's dying of cancer. And it kind of goes from there. And he has to figure out a way, well, I guess I'm going to die, but he knows he's going to go to hell.
Yeah.
Which isn't something he wants to do.
Oh, man, I loved that tagline for the movie, too, of like, hell wants him, heaven won't take him, earth needs him.
Come on, man. I mean, what's wrong with that? That's what you need.
It was great. As always, too, you guys, when we do these issues episodes, we really, really want you to go to your local brick and mortar comic book shop and go pick up some issues. Talk to us about them. Have your own hard opinions about these. Tell us if you think this is garbage. I hope you don't. I love it so much. But we want you to get out there and support local comic book shops because I know Rob is really passionate about physical media. I am very, very passionate about physical books.
Me too. Oh, I am too.
Yeah.
So would you say that you and I are simpatico on Hellblazer, the comic?
I think so. I think I would lean towards more of the Swamp Thing Etrigan stuff than
Right.
you.
More the more the DC universe stuff.
Exactly. I love that ever-expanding stuff. But him as an isolated character, I think, is always fun, too.
No, I agree. And for me, this comic hit me. I was reading a lot of dark fantasy novels, not just Clive Barker, but Graham Masterton, a lot of James Herbert, a lot of the British masters. And there's something, you know, their horror, I like to call it damp, because it always seemed to be damp meaning outside, like in on the moors, you know.
Okay, there we go. I knew you were going somewhere with
things
this.
There's I mean, we had
there's a fog, there's a sea layer.
There is a sea layer, there's something in the fog, there's horrible noises out there. You don't know what it is. It's like Stick to the Moors, like an American Werewolf in London. And that's what this is it's also moist because there's a lot of bloodletting.
That's
a
very
lot
true.
of disgusting decay and grossness happening, which I always appreciate.
Yeah. The scene where the one demon, the page, where the one demon with the tongue does the blood transfusion.
Well,
it's gross.
But awesome at the same time. Well, Kris, it's nice to know once again we are simpatico, and the issues that we have don't seem to be a divisive thing between us.
We got to find one that makes us just fight.
Yeah, we'll do that because people want to see a cage match.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I can't stay mad at you, but I'll
try.
That's
good. I'm glad. Yeah. I can't stay mad at you either.
Oh,
who can?
A lot of people on the internet, apparently.
Oh, well, they're wrong.
Thanks.
And that brings us to the last segment of the Weekly Hero, the Hot Toys segment. Now, let me preface this by saying a lot of you have been looking at my Henry Cavill figure in front of, I guess it's in front of Kris now, but and he's been out of focus for weeks, out of focus. So I decided, because people have asked, to finally give you what you want, people. And here is a close-up look at Henry Cavill, the hot toy from the Man of Steel version of Henry Cavill, the first of 4 Hot Toys Henry Cavill figures that exist.
All right, we are back with another installment of our Hot Toy segment. And Rob, you got something that's kind of special to my heart, the thing people have seen on your desk for a while now. What do we got today?
John, I must get 2 or 3 messages every day about this figure because he's always out of focus. People are like, can we see this figure? Why can't we see him? Well, now you can. This is the first of 4 Hot Toys Henry Cavill figures. This is actually the Man of Steel figure, the actual original Man of Steel figure. And if you look, John, look at the detail on the costume. The texture, the raised S. I mean, Hot Toys really nails the color scheme of this. It ushered in a new era of stands for Hot Toys figures. A larger stand, a much larger stand than they normally went with, the logo, but with a flying action rod where you could actually pose these figures in the air if that's what you wanted to do. And you can see the great tailoring on this figure. They also did a Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Superman figure. They released a Justice League figure that had brighter colors on the costume, and they recently released in a 2-pack along with the Nightmare Batman figure from Zack Snyder's Justice League. They released a black suited Henry Cavill figure, but the part in the hair was on the wrong side. So I actually bought a third-party head sculpt that had the right part in the hair. But this is pretty accurate. And so now for the first time, instead of everybody seeing it out of focus, you can actually see this figure in focus. I love this figure. I think it shows Hot Toys did 3 figures from Man of Steel. They did Zod, they did Jor-El, which you have.
Which is one of my favorites that I have.
And they did Superman Henry Cavill. They never did a Kaora figure, which I really wanted to have that female Hot Toy to fight Superman, but they never did that.
What would you say is your favorite aspect of this particular figure? Because like you say, we have it on your desk every day on the John Campea Show. What do you think is the one aspect of this one that really stands out?
Well, I really love, like, if you look in here, look at the fact that they're able to recreate this piping, and also like the gold and the dark, all the different aspects. They really do a fine job in here. That is really tough to duplicate at scale.
Yeah, the texture of it's incredible.
It's incredible. And you know, the head sculpts, this is a 12-year-old figure. The head sculpts have gotten a lot more sophisticated, but I still think this is a great figure. It looks impressive on the desk. And I also love the cape. This cape is amazing.
Which, of course, in the movie, I think 95% of the time that you see the cape in the movie, it's actually CGI.
It's actually and what I do like about this cape is it's a little longer, because when you see him on the ice before he takes off, it's kind of running, it's on the ground. So I don't know why I like that, but it looks great as the figure because it kind of hangs below his feet. And I love also how they are able, Hot Toys is really good about like recreating the texture in here of the cape stuff. Whenever they do that, I really do appreciate. They've done that on Thor before, and you know, it's just an extra added detail. This is why we love Hot Toys figures, John, because they look great.
All right, well, you picked a great one today for Henry Cavill's Man of Steel. All right, let's go back to the desk.
Well, that is the Hot Toy figure of the day. You know, by the way, he's going away. He's going bye-bye. He's coming off the desk.
Oh, no.
And no, going to add something new.
Ooh.
I mean, we've been seeing Wolverine and Superman there. We thought that they would have announced Wolverine and Superman movies, maybe something going on. Whether that didn't happen. So this represented hope on a number of different levels.
That hope is gone.
It was shattered. So I'm gonna bring up some new, more topical figures that we're going to have leading into the rest of the year.
I know this isn't appropriate, but as somebody who's married to a Logan, I think it's really hilarious that my view is always just his cheeks with the little stand hoisting up his booty.
Does that tell you something about your marriage?
That Logan's got a cute butt, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's good. Okay. Well, I'm happy to have obliged. You know, I whenever I look at that figure, I just keep looking at his claws.
Oh, that's much more respectful.
Those are metal claws.
Yeah.
Those are actual metal claws, and they would hurt. I mean, you could puncture someone's body with that. Oh, I wouldn't try it, but
a true Weapon X. Okay.
It is a true Weapon X.
Love it.
Well, Kris, that brings us to the end of issue 2 of the Weekly Hero. It's always good to be working with you.
I love these. These are so fun.
They are so fun. But you know what is even more fun? Your classes. Where can people find you on the web?
Thank you, Rob. We actually have a class starting on October 2nd. We are going to do a early morning, afternoon class for people who work from home or have kiddos in school.
And what kind of classes would those be?
These would be for voiceover. So it's intro to voiceover. You learn the basics of VO. It's a 4-week class, 2 hours every time you come in each week. It's really, really fun. You can go find that through my socials. I'm at actor Kris Carr.
Now, can you give us an example? Another example of your voiceover prowess?
Okay, so lately I've been playing I play a lot of bad bitches who have very low voices down here. Or I play a lot of really brassy women who are very, very concerned about building regulations. They probably are wearing plaid. They're really, really straight and focused sharpshooters, okay? A lot of those.
That sounded very Fargo.
Thanks.
I like that.
I can get more into that, where I can see Russia from my house kind of thing, too, if we go into more of a Sarah Palin voice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks, bud.
Well, I'm, of course, Robert Burnett, and you can find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or find me at Postgeek Singularity on YouTube or postgeeksingularity.com. But mostly, I'm right here with John Campea and the crew. So I want to thank everybody for watching this issue of The Weekly Hero, issue 2. I want to thank Jonathan Voico for producing this issue of The Weekly Hero. And I want to thank Ray Ora for sitting quietly and listening to us prattle on.
And making sweet graphics. We love you, Ray.
And, of course, John Campea for making this all possible. So thanks, everybody. Like, subscribe, tune in next week and find out if Kris and I will really get at each other's throats or we will once again agree because we have issues.